Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is document A. We're going to do document A now. This is meant to. I'm going to read it to you. Just some housekeeping issues. All the 6 documents are out. You have until the 15th of May to get them in. That's 10 school days or 12 days in total. You have to get them completed by Friday. If I know that you got other pressures and other times, but these documents are relatively easy. I'm reading them to you. You should have most of them read to you by Friday, and I think in total you maybe have like 30 questions in total to answer, in preparation for your essay. Just a reminder, we are answering the question, ultimately, why did Christianity spread in the ancient world? Okay, so, document A of the series of document-based questions. This is a source, the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verses 25 to 37, and it's from the Bible. All right, this moral story called the parable. I'm reading from the note, by the way, at the top of the document. The note says, the moral story called a parable was probably written down in Luke between 80 and 90 CE. Both the priest and the Levite were Jewish. The victim was also likely Jewish. Samaritans were from an old Western sect generally looked down upon by others. So this is the Good Samaritan story, impactful to even the world we live in today, because one of the things that we have on many books, or law books around the country, are called Good Samaritan laws, and it's based off of obviously the Samaritans weren't a worldly famous people, but the parable story here from the Bible obviously seeped into our culture. So that's why we call it a Judeo-Christian culture in the Western world. Okay? So, reading from the document. There was a scholar of the law who stood up to test Jesus and said, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" He said in reply, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as well." "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But because he wanted to justify or excuse himself, he said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man fell victim to robbers as he went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. They stripped and beat him and went off, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the road, but when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. But a Samaritan traveler who came upon him was moved with compassion at the sight. He lifted him up on his own animal, took him to an inn, and cared for him. The next day, he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper with the instructions, 'Take care of him. If you spend more than I have given you, I shall repay you on my way back.'" Jesus asked the expert in the law, "Which of these 3, in your opinion, was neighbor to the robber's victim?" He replied, "The one who treated him with mercy." Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." So, of course, we're answering the question, how did Christianity take hold in the ancient world? So in order to do that and look at this parable, we have to ask, what was somebody who was living in that time period? Think. Now, we have to often strip away our 21st century glasses and the way we view the world. Maybe that's easier now because of the difficulties we face as a country and as a world. But we have to take away the internet. We have to take away mass transit. We have to take away supermarkets. We have to take away cars. We have to take away electricity. We have to take away every aspect of our life that we live in order to put ourselves in the mindset of somebody who lived 2,000 years ago. And so, for somebody living 2,000 years ago, the idea that when you travel from point A to point B, say, let's talk about it in our own terms. Say you travel from Newton to Vernon. And today, if you break down along the way, if you have a problem, somebody attacks you, whatever it may be, you pull out your cell phone, you call, and you will have instant help, or help within a certain amount of time. It will be quick, and it will be efficient, and somebody will come and help you. In the ancient world, you didn't have a cell phone. You didn't have that opportunity to get that kind of help that quickly. And so consequently, living out there on the edge of life, traveling from point A to point B, was a real risk. It was a real risk that you might not come back alive. You might break your leg on the way there. You might fall off your horse. You might, whatever it may be. You get injured on the road, there's no ambulance to take you to the hospital. There's no hospital. So when we look at this, people in the ancient world, they're saying that even, this parable is telling us that even the least of us, somebody who's looked down upon, somebody who's not well respected, can do good by your neighbor, can do good to a complete stranger. And in order for you to live in a world, the ancient people were like, well, that's a great knowledge. That's a great thing. I should be helping those who obviously are hurt or need help. I should be reaching out to them when I see that they're in trouble, because one day it could be me. They could, you can always internalize it. So how does this document? Because I'm not going to deal with questions 1 through 4. That's on you. Question 5, though, is how can this document be used to explain why the teachings of Jesus took hold in the ancient world? For the person who will write it doesn't, you're wrong. You're simply wrong, and you're being lazy. Or you're choosing not to interpret to this, or you're choosing not to listen to this. You're better than that. You're more capable. You're certainly more able. Nobody in any of my classes should have trouble answering that question when we read that parable after the information I just gave you. But I'll take it to a next step, because there's more to it than just helping out your neighbor. There's this idea that the priest and the Levite walked past. Those were the people who you would expect to do the right thing. They were probably the one most familiar with the robbed person, the person who was hurt, and should have stepped up. But more importantly, this is about anybody can be the hero. Anybody can be the hero of that story. But the person who was picked to be the hero was less than an ordinary person. It wasn't the well-liked or well-respected priest, somebody who was seen very high in the standards of society, who was looked up to by your friends and your neighbors. It wasn't that person, the priest. It wasn't the average person who was the Levite, but it was the below-average person who was the hero of this story. So we as people, when you are a social climber, or when you're somebody who wants to be more important to the world, and when you do, get more money, or get a better future, the story here is also, don't forget the people who are left behind. That's also the story here. Because you should be helping them out. All right, I think that's enough for now. I think it's about 9 minutes now, almost 9.5 minutes or so. You'll be able to answer these questions. This is document A. My expectation is that you will get this done quickly, and the guiding questions between 1 and 4, they're simple answers. Don't overthink it. Take care of yourselves. Remember, good hygiene. Wash your hands. Brush your teeth if you haven't been doing it too, by the way. You don't want to get rotten teeth. You don't want to have to go to a dentist and have them stick their COVID color covered hands into your mouth. They don't have that. I'm just kidding you. But seriously, you don't want to have anybody sticking their fingers in your mouth right now, or their instruments. Why bother? Make sure you brush your teeth. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands thoroughly. Wear your masks, and keep your distance. And I sure as heck, I'll say it again, I've said it before, sure as heck hope you're helping your parents doing the laundry, cleaning the floors, cleaning the your rooms, making your bed, helping them out outside with the lawn. It's very nice weather. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you soon.